sure you want to try out your weapon first before we leave?
What's up everyone? Hope you're all having an awesome day so far and are staying safe out there. Wraith here with another Doom Eternal video, and I wanted to talk about what the first DLC for Doom Eternal mentioned about the ancient gods, among other things that have been revealed lately. Not too much longer until the full trailer release, but it doesn't hurt to get the conversation going on this topic early. Before we get going, I always like to say thank you for supporting the channel and taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoy content like this and love Doom, then you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe and set up notifications so you can stay up to date with the channel when I upload new videos. Due to how life is going right now, my upload consistency will be a bit random, but hopefully it can get more on track down the road. Supporting the channel means a lot to me and motivates me to make the channel better, so thank you once again. Okay, let's get started. Throughout the Doom franchise, we have come to know much of what happens throughout the timeline involving the UAC, Hell, Archdemons, the Makers, and of course the Doomslayer. Many of these factions and powers have had both positive and negative effects to the universe, and the Doomslayer always seems to balance things out. He helped save mankind from a Hell invasion in his original timeline, and became the Doomslayer for the Sentinel people. At the end of Doom Eternal, the Slayer stops the Hell invasion on Earth by eliminating the Order of the Day, freeing Urdak from the power-hungry Conmaker, and ultimately saving the universe itself from collapsing into the depths of Hell by defeating the Icon of Sin. However, there is now a power vacuum without the influence of the Makers throughout the universe. Within the lore, they didn't only visit Archdemons and Earth, but other worlds as well. Without their control, there would now be chaos or peace, depending on the status of those worlds and if they haven't been consumed by Hell. The Makers influenced many worlds with the idea that they were immortal beings, or gods for that matter, that lived in paradise. For the worlds that weren't so lucky and were sold out to Hell, with the end of the Khan's control, it must have caused so much chaos among them. It would be the equivalent of knowing that something you fully believed in your whole life has been a lie or something to that effect. It would create mass hysteria and cause worlds to ultimately be lost. So maybe what the Slayer did to the Conmaker was not the best thing for other worlds. Either way, the Khans have influenced these other worlds too much, and it had to end one way or another. The Dark Lord and the Archdemons will be the next target for the Doomslayer, as they have caused much pain and suffering upon him throughout his life. In fact, since the Doomslayer has been in Hell countless times and years, it's fair to say that the rulers of Hell could be among the ancient gods that the DLC speaks of. Before the Slayer can reach those ancient gods, the Father and Urdak would also be among those gods. The Father has been a part of Urdak's history for millennia and could potentially be an ally to the Slayer. Helping the Father rid the Hell infestation in heaven would create a paradise that existed before the discovery of Hell and the power of the Essence. Before the Conmaker became corrupt from the elixir, Archdemons flourished with wealth, technology, medicine, and many more miracles than with what the Wraiths could offer. This went on for what seemed to be thousands of years in their history and benefited all those who were blessed by the Makers. Within the DLC, I'm sure we will know more about Urdak's history and what happened to the Father. The lore kind of mentions that the Seraphim took the Father's essence away from Urdak, prompting the Conmaker to resort to other methods of survival. We may also find out who the Seraphim really is and how Samuel Hayden is related to Samur Maker. This theory has been floating around for a while where Samuel is the Seraphim, but hopefully the DLC will explain that more in detail. What do you guys think about that? Let me know down in the comment section. As far as Heaven is concerned, Hell will have a bigger role to play during the DLC. Without the Conmaker providing worlds to be consumed as part of the agreement to the Dark Lord, the Nameless One will have to resort to other methods to continue the process of producing the Essence. Since the Icon of Sin can no longer help consume worlds for Hell, the Dark Realm will need to reach out to someone within the UAC cult. Even after the deaths of the Hell Priests, I'm sure there would be someone within the cult that would have survived the Slayer's crusade. Also, because Hell isn't completely ruled by one ruler, the Archdemons might be able to pull something off with their combined efforts. In the QuakeCon stream a while ago, Hugo Martin mentioned, of course, that there is more than one ruler in Hell, and that we should be encountering the head honcho sometime, either in the DLC or the next game. Either way, the immortal Archdemons may be among the bosses found throughout the first and second DLC. I wonder if at least one of them will be found in the first DLC, as the locations we know of so far will take us to Urdak and a UAC base. Going to Urdak to rid the demons from heaven makes sense, but why would we need to go to a UAC base in the middle of the ocean? All the other levels throughout the main campaign have a specific purpose, such as hunting down the Hell Priests on Earth and Sentinel Prime, or going to Phobos to blow a hole in the surface of Mars. Like I mentioned earlier, if the UAC cult is still alive and kicking, they might have found a way to open a portal to Hell, or rather a portal directly to one of the Archdemons. This could be the way to end the first DLC, as the Slayer is able to return to Urdak by way of the teleporter between Urdak and Earth, helps the Father rid the Hell infestation on Urdak, then goes to the UAC base to get back to Hell to continue his crusade. The DLC could end with fighting the first of the Archdemons. In the stream, Hugo also mentioned a lot about the Crucibles and how there will be more info provided about their backstory, so I hope that the demonic Crucible will be explained on how it was created and why it is so different from the others. This may be where the Wretch will finally show up. For the most part, we know that he is a heretic and demon that helped the Slayer with the Praetor suit in the Forges of Hell. So since the Slayer will be back in Hell and the Crucibles will have more detailed info on them, it just makes sense to put those together. On top of that, Hugo mentioned that there will be some kind of explanation of the time frame between Doom 2016 and Eternal. As far as we know, it will most likely be explained in some sort of codex entry or even a flashback if we are lucky. I did do a video about this a while back that theorizes on what could have happened, so if you haven't seen that video yet, I'll leave a link down in the description below. It would be nice to have a prequel DLC, but due to many factors, it just wouldn't make sense for a lot of reasons that Hugo explained in the stream. Either way, I'm excited to know exactly what happened in between the two games. Maybe I'll be somewhat correct on my theories. One last thing I wanted to talk about that may actually just be a troll by Hugo Martin is the idea of having two Marauders to fight against at the same time. This was from a post he made on the Facebook group, and it could potentially be a troll or a legit update that he wanted us to know about. The Marauder is a very interesting enemy, and by now many players are able to defeat him with ease, unless of course you are someone from Watch Mojo and think the Marauders ruined the game. Honestly, the Marauder is not that difficult, but he does require some practice and strategy in order to take him out on any difficulty. I myself am not a pro at Doom Eternal, considering I haven't beaten Ultra Nightmare quite yet, but can manage to beat him on Nightmare. In fact, I find him more difficult to beat than the Doom Hunter at times. Anyway, the idea of having more than one Marauder could really work out if done correctly. If this is a legit thing that Hugo wants to have in the game, then I wonder if it will be available only in the DLC. That would make sense because those who want to play the DLC, the majority of players that would be playing the expansion would be those who are at least somewhat skilled enough to handle the Marauder. If by now you can't even beat the Marauder, you either stop playing Doom Eternal or just don't have the time to practice and get good at the game. Everyone has different levels of skill when it comes to video games, and I totally understand if you're having trouble with the Marauder. Other than that, if there would be an update to include more than one Marauder, I hope there would be an alternate version, as in a Marauder that looks a bit different and uses a different Crucible weapon. By doing that, it will completely change things up and force even the most skilled players to find a new strategy. For the most part, there are a lot of skilled players that can beat the Marauder within seconds, so by having the same type of Marauder with another one would not be much of a new challenge if you know what I mean. However, by having another Marauder that has different weapons or abilities can create a bigger challenge. The Sentinels were masters of using the weapons that they used against the Dark Realm, and those among the Separatist groups would have altered their armor and used different weapons to differentiate themselves from the Sentinels who fought with the Slayer in the Civil War. On top of that, within the art book, there are many different iterations of the Marauder that can be used in the DLC. I'd like to see a Marauder with either a spear crucible or even a hammer, much like the Betrayer's crucible. With the hammer, it could be used to slam into the ground, creating an area of effect, while the Marauder using the axe can throw the Argent wave at the player. There are so many different ideas that could work out. What do you guys think about having two Marauders? Would it work or not? All in all, the DLC will contain enough content to keep us busy for a good amount of time until the next big update will be released. I still find Doom Eternal fun to play and find time to practice enough to hopefully one day beat the game on Ultra Nightmare. The game has brought in many new players to the franchise, and hopefully many of them have stuck with it and practiced enough to understand the strategies to be able to defeat all of the enemies found within it. The point of a DLC is to keep players invested in the game that have spent many hours playing it. id Software is doing an awesome job at Doom Eternal and will continue to keep it alive for many more years to come. Like I've said many times, I'm really excited for this DLC and what the future will look like for Doom Eternal. If you liked what you saw here, then be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video so we can get it out there more. I want to keep covering the topic of Doom Eternal for a good amount of time, so stick around if you want to see more videos here. Also, be sure to check out my social media accounts at RipNtear Gaming to see other things over there. Once again, thank you all for the continued support on the channel, and until next time, fellow Slayers, don't forget to rip and tear. Peace.